Hey, thank you so much for watching my YouTube channel. I would love to have you subscribe. That'd be fantastic. And hello, it's April Fool's Day. I used to do all kinds of jokes with that, like goof off in my school, and my friends would be like, oh my gosh, you're doing it. It was just kind of mischievous, you know, a little playful. So, but I don't have any April Fools for you, except maybe the joke at the end. That might be. And I want you to remember too, it's also what we consider Maundy Thursday, which is the Last Supper. Tomorrow is Good Friday, and it is a Good Friday. Because the reason it is good, because God expresses love through Jesus, his ultimate sacrifice, that he lays down his life for us. It is our good, because God is loving and good. So I just celebrate that with you today, that we are celebrating the love of God, the ultimate expression of God's love to us through Jesus' death, as well as his upcoming resurrection. And we're going to finish our series on what do you need? And looking at the needs in our life as opportunities for Jesus to join, participate, and do some pretty amazing things, do what Jesus does. And as we're finishing this series, I just want to bring you to this wedding feast at Cana of Galilee, John chapter 2, verses 1 to 12. And they had run out of wine. We walked through this, you know, who was there. We talked about that last week. They ran out of wine. They had a need. Mary, Jesus' mom, had a conversation with Jesus about the need. She didn't get ticked off or offended with him because he called her woman, right? His mom, he calls his mom woman. But she's like, hey, you know, and we talked about obedience. But I want to talk about now today the conclusion, because what happens is Jesus tells, and Mary tells the servants, do whatever he says. Jesus tells the servants, fill up all the water pots, 6, all the way to the rim to the brim with water. And they do. There's 6 of them, and each of them hold between 20 and 30 gallons. They take the water. Jesus says, now take some to the master of the ceremony. And they do. The servant, which I think is really powerful, the servant, no name, not a disciple, not the groom, not the bride, not Mary, just some no-name random servant. And I think that's really noteworthy, because I think a lot of times we have this idea in our mind that, you know, you got to be important, you have to have your own YouTube channel with how many, and I like that this miracle, the very first miracle that Jesus does, is the teamwork in it, is his mom kind of initiating the conversation, Jesus hearing, participating in that, but then the servant, who we don't know. We don't know his name. We don't know anything about him other than he was obedient. He did what Jesus said. And I think that's so important for each of us. We don't have to be the important people, so to speak. We just need to do what Jesus says. And it may seem illogical. It might seem stupid. That's ridiculous. I have no doubt that servant in his mind was like, I'm going to be an idiot. The master was, I'm going to get fired from my job. I'm going to get, you know, this is embarrassing. But he didn't, whatever. He coached his own mental game. He just did what Jesus said. And sometimes we just need to settle into it and do what Jesus says. It doesn't make sense. It seems illogical, you know, runs against the grain. My flesh doesn't like, but I'm just going to do what Jesus says. And he does. And when he takes the water to the master of ceremonies makes this observation. Wow, after drinking what has now become wine, water turned into wine, the master of the ceremonies is like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is super high quality wine. In fact, you guys, normally the regular custom tradition is that you serve the good wine at the beginning of a feast, and after everybody has drunk and gotten, you know, well acclimated to the feast, then we bring out the cheap wine so they can't tell the difference, right? And the master of the ceremony says, but you guys have reversed it. You saved the best wine till the end and served the not so good wine at the beginning. So I want you to appreciate that in this miracle, this is a provision miracle, and the provision is in 2 ways. Number 1, in quantity. There were 6 water pots, 20 to 30 gallons each, 6 water pots. So that's a boatload. That's at least 120 gallons. That's a quantity, huge, huge quantity. Boatloads, get it, water, I know. I just thought I'd do that little side note. But it's also a quality miracle. It's quality, because he provides not only over 120 gallons of wine, but the quality of the wine also exceeds any human provision. And when we invite Jesus into our needs, I really want to encourage you that Jesus, when Jesus has that invitation, the open door, and we keep the door open. I think sometimes we close the door because we're like, it's got to be in this timeline. Keep the door open. Keep the door open to whatever the timeline is that Jesus has, because Jesus says it. My time is not yet. And Mary's like, well, it's their time. They ran out, and the time is already, you're overdue. But keep the door open for Jesus, regardless of the timeline. Because when we invite Jesus in and we keep the door open, Jesus participates in both quality as well as quantity. So the needs you have in your life, need for employment, need for health, need for relationship stuff, self-control, discipline, needs, maybe you need time. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm so skinny on time. Well, schedule help, just wisdom, all these needs. Keep the door open, keep the conversation going with Jesus. I need your help, need your strength, need your wisdom, need anointing, need, and just keep that fresh, open heart for Jesus' participation. And then watch and see Jesus' quantity as well as Jesus' quality of provision. Because Jesus meets our needs. And we see this demonstrated tomorrow with Good Friday. Jesus steps in and is the ultimate need meter because he gives us his life. And I appreciate that it's based on love and nothing less than genuine love. So thank you so much for watching. And I just ask you to think about this question. And you can answer it here. What does Good Friday mean to you? What does Good Friday mean to you? For a while, for me, Good Friday was, I didn't think it was good at all. But there's been a shift in my heart and my thinking. But I would just ask you, what does it mean to you? And just be honest. Give me your feedback. That'd be awesome. Thank you for subscribing. Hit the little notification bell thingy right there. That'll let you know when we have new content. And our fantastic jokes, which a friend of mine gave this to me last night, and I thought it was really, really good. How do you tell the difference between the sex of an ant, the gender? How do you tell what kind of gender an ant has? Well, you drop it in water. And if it's a girl and it sinks, it's a girl when it sinks to the bottom. But if it's a male, it'll be boy ant. Right? It floats, boy ant. I know, you're like, but next week will be way better. Thanks again for watching.